resilience, the ability to bounce back. Hi everyone, and welcome to Let's Win, where you'll receive God-filled encouragement that will help you live and lead with a victory mindset. Have you ever had one of those mornings where you just cannot get out of bed? It feels like your eyelids are stuck to each other. It feels like a train has driven over you. The bed is warm. The dream is still somewhere here in the back of your mind. And it's just impossible to get out of bed. I had one of those mornings this morning, and every now and then they come and they just make it so hard to get out of bed, especially with the winter approaching. It's even harder. So many times I turn to my husband and I say, today I'm just gonna strike. I'm gonna go on strike. I'm gonna just lie in. I don't want to make 7 sandwiches for the day. I don't want to pack 1 million lunch boxes for the entire day ahead for all the kids. And I just don't want to do all these things. I want to stay here and lie in and just hold on to this moment. And then what happens? You eventually think, okay, what am I doing here? Where are we at? You gather, and because the longer you think about it, the later your morning becomes, and inevitably the pressure just piles up. So you know it's actually not good to just lie there and keep thinking. So think to myself, okay, we're building, what are we doing? We are raising children, we are building legacies, we are imparting life skills, we are working towards a greater cause, right? So you get yourself out of bed, and you start the day, and when you look, it's a few moments in, and you've forgotten the big drag it was, and you're already pumped for the day. Does this sound familiar to anyone today? I hope I'm not alone. Anyway, last night I had one of my kids, we had one of my kids come to us, and it was just a complete meltdown, emotional meltdown, crying, just the feeling of overwhelm completely flooding this dear child of mine. And I don't want to expose them this morning, so I'm going to try and speak around who it is. But I mean, we have so many, we face this meltdown how many times in our lives, so it's nothing to hide. I just don't want to expose my child. But just this complete feeling of this is just all too much going on at the moment, and exams are around the corner. The tests are not going away. The homework is not going away, even though the exams are coming closer. The matches, sport matches, are heaping up. There's like more matches, it feels like it. And just the after-school activities aren't going anywhere, and the time is just getting less and less, and the pressure is building, and it's what this child was feeling, and just not able to handle that in this moment, just melting down, having this breakdown, and eventually after a lot of tears and a lot of whole long hugs and just chatting about it, this child of mine says, you know what I'm missing? I am missing my whiteboard. Now, the backstory with this whiteboard is we had put a bookshelf into the bedroom, and with this bookshelf coming, the whiteboard had to get off the wall. This child of mine is particularly very good at planning and likes everything well organized and well sorted out and planned in advance, a very meticulous planner. And what this kid would do is often write down all their plans. The whole month's planning went onto this whiteboard. What is coming, when certain activities need to be finished, when activities need to be done. And now this whiteboard's on the floor. And in this meltdown moment, this kid's just realizing, hey, I need my whiteboard, because this is what the words that were spoken is, I don't know what's coming, and it's freaking me out, and it feels bigger than what it actually is. They were able to acknowledge and recognize that the fact that it's not nicely planned actually makes them feel like it's bigger than what it actually is. And it was just such a confirmation of the thoughts I had been having over the word resilience. And I got so excited actually because it just stirred something inside of me. Resilience. Resilience, according to the dictionary, is the ability to mentally, emotionally, and physically bounce back from stress, adversity, trauma, or any significant challenge. And this is important. It's not merely toughing it out, but rather adapting, learning, and growing stronger from difficult experiences. It's learning from difficult experiences. This skill involves flexibility and maintaining well-being despite the hardship. Now, the Bible is loaded with examples of people who were resilient. And if you think about the apostles, what they went through, the resilience that they had to have. They were threatened, they were imprisoned, they were beaten, they were put to death, they were rejected and constantly opposed. Yet, this is the important thing, they continued their preaching. They continued on their mission. Why? Because they had a purpose. They were commissioned by Jesus himself to go and spread the good news to all nations. They had something that they were holding on to, a purpose that was greater than the trial, than the difficult situation that they were going through right now. To be resilient is not merely just continuing, like slogging on like a stubborn donkey, going through the motions, hitting resistance upon resistance. That's not what resilience is. It's adjusting, but all for the sake of accomplishing that which is put before you, that which is the purpose ahead. It's knowing what the greatest purpose is so that you can keep going, get up in the morning, show up, adjust, adapt, strategize, and grow. That's what it means to be resilient. Now, if you look at the apostles, they were constantly moving cities. They changed their strategies. They moved from homes to synagogues, to prisons, to marketplaces. They raised new leaders. But the important thing is they continued their mission under pressure. We can only have resilience. We can only get up, bounce back again, when we have our eyes fixed on the purpose that is ahead of us, the mission, that which God has called us to. This is so important for our lives. I know there's many ladies or many people out there that have lost their purpose. They have lost their reason to get up in the morning. It all just seems too much. And if you don't have that purpose that you're holding on to, if you don't have that commission from God for your life, which we all have, if you don't have that, why get up? Why put your foot out the bed first thing in the morning? Why look after yourself? Why go through the motions if there's nothing on the other side waiting? And what happens is we lose our zeal for life. What happens is we lose sight of the life that God has given us. We lose our passion and we lose that zest for life. And I know we don't want to be there. No one wants that for their lives. No one wants to lose their zeal for life. No one wants to lose their purpose and eventually sit with no reason. But if we're not careful, it does creep up on us. And I've seen this. I've seen this happen to people that start getting older in their lives, or the children leave the house and and there's no longer this rush of activity in your household, and there's no longer this busyness that keeps driving you. There's no longer the purpose in raising children. What is the purpose that God, find out what is the purpose that God has for you in this season, so that it can pull you into an action. It can pull you into being resilient when hardships come. No one wants to be that person that just lets life happen before them without having the zeal and the energy to be a part of that. Now, some days are harder than other days. Some seasons are harder than other seasons. You might be facing a really difficult situation or a difficult season in your life, and you might tell me, Bernadine, it's impossible to run with passion. It's impossible to run with zeal because this is just so heavy. This is just so hard at the moment. And I want to give you just one or two small tools, or call it hacks, that I've discovered in my life that's really that's helped me, and I just call it little boosters, or an on switch, or an activation switch. Now the important thing is it's basically it's an activity or a just a small task that recenters you, or that puts you on track again. It really doesn't get you anywhere, but it simply just puts you in the right mode to walk. It puts you in the right space to say, okay, I can do this. When you're hitting those mornings and you really don't want to get out of bed, you really don't want to put the next step ahead of the other step, there's so much benefit in having just a little bit of a tool, a little bit of a task that gets you in that framework of, okay, let's do this. So call it an on switch or a booster, but basically it's a task or an activity that really doesn't require any mental or emotional energy or capacity, because when you're feeling low, you don't have that. You don't have that emotional or mental or sometimes physical energy to have to engage into something. So if you can have just an on switch, just something small, a task that activates you and puts you in that space. For me, it's really simply opening my cupboard and deciding to wear something presentable that I can go out with. That's such a simple task for me, but I decide, okay, I'm just going to put on something nice that I feel good in. And it's making that first little bit of a brainless decision to put on something. For some people, putting on clothes is like a mountain. I know for some of my kids, it's really just, it's not that. So this is really different for everyone. But for me, it's deciding to look presentable, to look good. And the same with my makeup. It's a brainless activity, but if I know if I put on my makeup, I can face the world. I can face the day. And it sort of gets me in the right mode, in the right framework. Often going for a run or just doing a workout gets me in that same space, but that one often does require a little bit more energy, especially mental energy, when you're really not feeling in that space. So, but it could just be going for a walk, something that doesn't require a lot of emotional capacity. So you can just, that after you've completed that activity, you're going to feel better and in a space where you can go, stand up, get up, bounce back. All right. Could be anything really, like wiping your kitchen counters, making space in your kitchen again, doing your dishes, tidying up a living space. If you really are interesting, it could be even sorting out a cupboard, tidying up a certain space. That, for many people I know, gets them into a feel-good mode where they can do something greater or bigger. Making your bed, making a meal, making a healthy breakfast. Find out what this booster or this activator activity is for you. Find out what is it. Remember them. There could be more than one. It could be a whole bunch of them. And that's great if you have more than one, because on certain days you feel differently. You feel, okay, let me just make a decent breakfast. And then okay, I'll feel like I can do this. I can create. I can write. I can show up. I can complete my mission in in achieving the purpose that God has for our lives. So what are you going to do when it feels impossible to bounce back? What are you going to do when it feels impossible to get out of bed, or when life overwhelms you? I want to encourage you. Put up that whiteboard. Put up that plan. Put up that strategy. Let God come remind you of what it is that you're going for. What is the purpose? What is the next step? What is that next mission for you? And then grab onto a little activator. Grab onto a booster that might just help you get that first step. And let's run this race with patient endurance, with steady and active persistence, as Hebrews 12 says, looking away from all that distracts to Jesus, who is the leader and the source of our faith and is our incentive for belief, for our belief. Friends, let's win together, today, and in the rest of this week. Bless you.